This is not NBC. This is your CAN TV, Channel 21, and I'm your host and producer, Stephen Silver Carter. We have an exciting program for you today, as usual, and that's because we have an exciting guest that I'm going to introduce more in a little bit. But our guest is retired professor, that is Buford A. Kirkwood. A special guest and some special things that you're going to want to know about and take some notes on too. So get your pencils and papers out. And we're going to be some things that we're going to go over, and you're going to be as excited as I have been to get this guest on the program today. I've got to do I do a normal shout out to all the people, because with some shows you get to the end and you don't get them all in.
Very good.
So you know what I have to do? I get them at the beginning.
All right.
So folks out there, including Shirley Kirkwood, she's in the room. Shirley, wave at the audience. Okay. No, she's supposed to wave.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the part of the cheering squad that we're going to have,
right.
And to keep this going. But we've got to mention, first of all, Rosie Santos, who is writing and controlling everything in the control booth today. Her partner, Imani, is not here today, but Rosie's going to handle everything. But before I do that, let me thank, I got to thank some people.
All right.
You know who I got to thank? I got to thank the late Philip Jackson, who is the founder of Black Star Project. And indirectly, the founder of the Black Star Still Rising program that we have here today, and his successor, great successor to Philip, is a sister, and that's Gloria Smith. Gloria, thank you for making this happen, and I got to extend the thanks.
Very much.
Yes, I've got to extend the thanks to the executive director of CAN TV, and that is Mr. Darius. Golly, how did I do that? Mr. Darius Holman. Okay, thank you, and thank all the other folks, my associate producers, Dr. Mike and Ellis Taylor, that couldn't have done this without them. I'm going to make sure I don't miss anybody. So you got Monty, I got Rocio, I got Dr. Mike, and I have some more shout-outs a little bit later on. But now we're going to get into the man of the hour. Don't be bashful. Don't be bashful.
Okay.
And that is Professor Buford Kirkwood. Brother Kirkwood, thank you for being with me today.
You're very welcome.
And I got to tell you this. This is a very humble gentleman. Humble, but a very talented person. And you would not know all the things that I've discovered about him over these past few years. First of all, he's a man of the community. Bronzeville, raised in Bronzeville, part of Avalon Park, went to school locally, St. Gregory's?
St. George.
St. George's.
St. George Elementary School.
Corpus Christi.
High School.
Corpus Christi High School. And then we went on to Crane.
Crane Junior College.
Then we went on to DePaul University. And then we went on to
University of Illinois in Urbana.
Downstate Urbana. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And then we went on to
USC, University of Southern California.
Was it true about you and OJ? That you would see in the cafeteria?
Only that I would see him. That's all.
Only that you were there.
Wave hello.
Oh, wave hello. But anyway, too, I'm excited about this and this opportunity, because this man is an educator. He's not just a teacher. He's not just a professor. He's an educator who has educated for 34 years in the local colleges, community colleges, for 34 years. And glad you retired, but glad you had those 34 years behind you, right?
Excellent years. Okay. Excellent. Very enjoyable. Students were just wonderful.
Yeah, but there's one other talent that I didn't know about, or I'd forgotten about. He's not only an educator, a professor, he's a corporate guy too. Lockheed, tell me a little bit, quick bit about your experience at Lockheed.
Lockheed Aviation, when I graduated from the University of Illinois in Urbana, I was recruited by Lockheed. And so it's been a tenure of 2.5 years there, and as a mathematical engineer.
Did you hear what he said? Mathematical engineer, Lockheed.
Right.
There ain't no shortstop in there. He's in high cotton when you go there. No, you are. You know, we got to tell the truth. I don't want you to hide your candle. You know, we got to be able to tell folks who we bring, that we have authorities, people who have experience, etc. But what I am excited about is you beat me to the punch in one sense. I've always dreamed of writing a book, and a book about quotations. But you have written 2 books, which is a 3rd book, regarding famous quotations that inspire. Tell me how you managed to do that and to write a book, 337 pages? Is that how much? Yeah, 300. Let me show you this. If I drop this on my toe, I'm breaking something. Look at this book. 337 pages of a unique experience, but how it's put together. Tell us what inspired you to pull all these quotations together and how you accumulated them over the years.
Well, I would say there was one classroom experience that encouraged a sense of seriousness about quotations.
Which institution were you at then?
I was at Crane.
At Crane?
I was at Malcolm X.
At Malcolm.
At Malcolm X College. And that was a classroom experience. Students, typical students, were a little disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was disturbed by the students' disruptiveness. And so I think I spoke a little bit strongly. Harshly towards
You
them.
got down to the nitty gritty with them. Huh? They thought you were a punk until you had to tell them right. Go ahead.
And so I spoke, and it was rather harsh. So at the end of class, one of the other students, not one of the disruptive students, but one of the other students, handed me a list of quotations.
Mm-hmm.
And all the quotations that he gave me on the list were about verbal self-control,
Verbal self-control, okay.
guarding your words.
Okay, being guarded, what you're saying.
And
Because once it's out there.
right, once it's out there, it's out there.
Okay.
And I took to heart what he wrote. You know, in the classroom, you learn a lot. If you're listening
Mm-hmm.
and you watch, you learn a lot from your students. And so
Were you surprised?
it was very comforting what he gave me.
Yes.
Because I kept it.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, as recently as 2 or 3 days ago, I was looking through some old papers and I came across that list, that handwritten list of quotations that he gave me.
Did you ever use any of them in your...
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I used them and kept them on my desk in my office, you know, to remind me.
Mm-hmm.
So then one Christmas, one of my sons gave
You got,
me
what, 3 sons?
4 sons.
4 sons, okay.
Gave me a journal.
Wave at them, you can say them hello. All right. You can give them shout-outs too.
Okay. Gave me a writing journal as a present.
Uh-oh, we're going to get into some deep stuff now. Go ahead.
Said,
Yeah.
Dad, write down some of your thoughts. Write down some of your thoughts. You know, he's very knowledgeable, you know, young man. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And I had been writing, journalizing for a number of years. In the journaling process, you think about what it is you should write in a journal. And
Is it about your experiences,
right,
other people's,
and
or a combination?
I could write things in the journal about academics. I could write things about the arts, health,
Math?
math.
You a STEM person early
A
on.
lot of different things,
Yes.
But what I really found myself gravitating towards was writing about that which is real and everlasting, permanent, something that really is something that will carry them and that I can really pass on to them, to he and my other 3 sons
So
for the rest of their
it's
lives.
existential in nature.
For the rest of their lives.
Okay.
So,
So how long have you been starting to develop these?
so this has been a process of maybe 20 years.
20 years
20
collecting.
years. Collecting,
Curating.
So, and I found that I should choose something that would really be inspirational for them. And so that's the whole background. It resulted in this book, which I entitled Twodge,
And tell them what that means.
and
What it stands for.
TWOWJ.
TWOW. Can we show that again up front?
Okay.
No, I'll hold my copy. You keep
Okay.
it. That's it. I want you
And
to keep that in mind.
These are the Words of Wisdom Journal. And to give you a brief overview, it's a collection of personal reflections, my
Okay.
personal reflections, and wisdom-filled quotations or paraphrases taken from various sources relating to a variety of topics, designed in a journal format for the addition of further relevant quotations, personal notations, experiences by the writer and the owner, reflections and applications.
And I got to stop you for a second because your approach is not just writing, it's interactive.
Yes.
Tell us about how this became, I saw it as a workbook.
Yes.
That folks would not only read,
Right.
but they would begin. Tell us about the 4 main areas
Right.
that you talk about in the book.
So the 4 main areas in the book that, first of all, you could read over the, first of all, there's 66 topics.
Okay.
Okay. And 66 topics, and there are 415 quotes.
450, that's a bunch of quotes.
415 quotes.
What'd you start with? Because it had to be a million quotes that you had to go through, right?
Well, the first topic is action, because you have to begin. So I just chose that as a beginning.
It can't get any better than that.
So
Execution, that's what it's about.
You got to start.
Okay.
If you don't start, there will be no final. Nothing takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So now, under each topic, within each topic, you have the opportunity to add your own quotations.
Okay, they read yours. They've
Okay.
got some thoughts
Right.
about it.
So,
they put it in
you might have.
You can write in that book, right?
Right, absolutely.
You're supposed to.
Absolutely. 168 pages just designed for you to
Okay.
interact with the quotations that are already given.
Okay, this next part.
Right. So then after you've done that, then you've got related personal experiences and events.
Okay.
So you may have some events, some personal experiences that you have related to this particular topic. If the topic is honesty, and that's one of the topics is integrity. One of the topics has to do with truth. Mm-hmm. So if you have some experiences where you've either fell short in terms of your honesty, being totally honest, or integrity, or you've had situations where you realize the importance of your honesty and integrity and the fruits and the growth that came as a result of that, jot that down. Put that down in your book and let that be an example for yourself. Inspiration for yourself, so that you use this as a bridge for further growth in that area.
Oh, what's the other aspects, the other two aspects of the workbook nature?
Okay. The other
of your book?
aspect is your reflections. Now, once you've had certain experiences, so you
You gotta sit back and say, well,
so you reflect
I
upon
can think
that,
about it, huh?
you
Okay.
know, reflect upon those events, and then personal applications. You know, so how will I apply what I have learned in this topic? What will I?
what's your takeaway?
You know, right?
Yeah,
right.
okay.
What will be my applications? I have some suggestions in terms of your journaling within this, and what's going to happen, I think, is that you're going to find that you're going to come up with numerous quotes. You're going to come up with your own compositions, your own quotes, that thoughts that you had, but you're also going to come up with, you're also going to find many other sources, you know, many other contributors towards a particular topic. So, for instance, like I say, if you're talking about honesty, there may be many philosophers or poets or writers or, you know, religious, spiritual-minded people that you might want to include under a particular topic. And so you'll include those along with what's already in the book.
And this may be kind of an unfair question because it's like asking of your 4 sons, which one's your favorite? I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your, I said, this is like asking a parent, which
Oh.
one of your kids is your favorite, right?
Oh,
I didn't mean to mislead you.
Yeah, you know.
But anyway, I'm going to ask you, give me 1 or 2, your most impactful quotes that you have in the book, and under what circumstances? Because I know it had to be something
Well-
that made you.
well, I have found that there is nothing no more important to me in my life than the development of love for God.
Okay.
You know,
That's your base. Go ahead.
that's
please.
my base.
Okay.
Because through that, everything comes. Without that, there is nothing.
Have you got the exact quote that's in the book?
Well, yes.
Or one of your
Yes.
reflections on that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I believe that in the heart of every human being, this is a quote, that there's been placed a great gift, the seed of love. And it would be wonderful to grow that seed into infinite divine love. So, the first commandment that you find in Scripture is that you should love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. And what I get from that is that this is a commandment. And a commandment is not something that you have an option on.
You got to follow through on that.
Yeah.
If you hear it.
And thankfully, in this matter, there is no other choice. Now, other people have written in this vein, and I believe the Roman orator or philosopher has written, if you wish to love, you have to love. If you wish to be loved, you have to love. And also keep in mind that just as a smile invites another smile, so the great invitation for receiving love is created by giving love.
And you better be writing some of this down. If not, you better be sure that you're going to pick up this book too. But I got to ask you this. I know that your wife is a great influence. Shirley's a very great influence on you and your boys. What are some of Shirley's favorite quotes that she may have given you or suggested that you cover, or some that the boys got from you. Tell me what Shirley liked the best about your book, or one of the ones.
Well, I think she likes the spiritual approach.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that she enjoys the whole intention of the book. The intention of the book is to develop, a certain level of spirituality.
And what do your boys think about? What do they pick out some things, or do they give you some things that you use in the book?
I haven't had a chance to get a lot of input from them. This has been kind of pretty much a private effort on my part.
Okay.
Right.
But you always had your family, friends, colleagues
Right.
in the background too.
Always had them in mind in terms of me writing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole basis of it all was the intention of trying to provide something, trying to give something, to pass on something.
And I got to interrupt you just for a moment. I got to make announcement from my sponsor, the Black Star Project.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I have here, you know about a lot of the things that the Black Star Project has been doing, but we have something that you will have an opportunity to be involved with, and that is Juneteenth. It's going to be coming up Juneteenth. But this year, the Black Star Project is looking for 30 volunteers to help at the Juneteenth program. And to be a volunteer, all you have to do is write this down. 773-285-9600. I'm going to repeat that. 773-285-9600. We're looking for 30 people, all different ages, experiences, etc., to be a part of the Juneteenth celebration at the Black Star Project, which is at 35th and King Drive, or 35th and Philip Jackson Parkway. All right, keep that in mind, and you'll ask for Lindsay White, who is the publicist for the Black Star Project. Ask for her, or leave a message, and guess what? When you leave a message, you know what? They call you back. It doesn't go off into infinity, all right? So you know about that, and I want you to let's get about 5 in today, and over the next couple of weeks, we want to get those 30 volunteers for the Black Star Project for the Juneteenth celebration. I had one thought. I think the action part, what was the push that made you go ahead and do it? Action is A.
Mm-hmm.
What was the thing? Was there some special thing that got you to go ahead and, I'm going to do it?
I think action.
Was it somebody, something that hit you, some incident, and said, I can't just talk about this book anymore? Or is it that you knew? I tell you one of my favorite books, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to 3rd grade.
Right.
The Little Engine That Could.
Right.
I think I can, I think I can. I know I can. It hit you one day to go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure exactly what. It's something that just tells me that I should, maybe my son, the one that told me to
start it? Journaling? Okay.
Maybe that was the basis.
Were you like Saul that got knocked off your donkey on the way to Jerusalem, said, okay, I'm hearing you, Lord. And I know you listened to the Spirit. Something told you to get going on this. And I know that you took the right steps.
No, as I said, it's been a long process. It's not been something one thing that pushed me into doing this. It's been a long process, and it is something that has evolved over a long period of time. It's not something that just came out right, suddenly.
It didn't happen overnight.
No, it didn't happen.
And you've been persistent about this. This has been a part of your life for as many years as you were telling that you started getting the journalizing these
Absolutely.
things.
This is a growth. This is a growth. This is something that took place over a long period of time, and there's no one thing. There's no one thing. I just realized that this is something that that I wanted to do, needed to do. Hopefully, it will be inspiration.
And I've got to show you this before the program ends today. And be so glad that we had our guest, Buford A. Kirkwood, who brought this book, and TWOWJ,
Right.
the Words of Wisdom Journal.
Right.
Any parting words that you want to say to your friends and colleagues that you know from those years, those 35 years?
The only thing that I would say is that in the final note of this book, I wrote, hopefully some meaningful words have been written and some wise quotes have been provided. However, the writings presented here are indeed few and limited. Let what has been written and quoted here be the beginning source for meaningful introspection and an inspiration for further abundant writing and journaling. Then let all the reflections, insights, understandings, and experiences expressed in words lead to actions. Always do the best to strive, to practice, to persevere, and never give up in the goal to become a most noble and good human being, filled with love for the whole creation and ultimately having the actual experience of divine love.
Beautiful. That's another way for us to wrap up. My brother, thank you for thank you for bringing this to our attention and to be a part of folks journalizing and taking action on this.
Okay.
All right.
You're very
Namaste.
welcome.
All right. Thank
Namaste.
you.